Thank you for watching. My name's Rick, and today we're going to talk about my 2021 Tesla Model Y that we purchased used with 16,500 miles on it. It is the 7-seat configuration and has the 20-inch wheels on it from the factory. Since we bought it used, the previous owner had done a few little extras to it. Window tint, had different floor mats. There were the pucks for the jacks in the back of the car, which are all kind of nice things, nothing significant. Other than that, it's stock vehicle. Oh, it does have a screen protector on the screen as well. But beyond that, it's pretty much a stock Tesla. And when we bought it, it was very clean, had the original tires, but everything else was pretty much as is when you buy the car. If you're interested in whether or not the 7-seat configuration will work for your family, you can check out a video I did on that in the description or under my Tesla videos. So let's start with the negatives about the car. I know most people are seems to be more interested in anything that could possibly be bad when buying a vehicle. I know that's some of the stuff I search for just to make sure I'm making a good purchase. So really, the biggest thing I could think of to talk about would be the suspension. And if you've been looking at Teslas, you've probably heard, it's a little bit stiff, a little bit clunky over bumps in the road. Not really, in my opinion, for the cost of the vehicle, really not up to snuff as far as comfort for a midsize SUV. I mean, it's not terrible, don't get me wrong, it's fine, but it could be a little bit better. And my understanding is Tesla actually, in the new Model Ys, has what they're calling a comfort suspension, which I think is a good move, and probably going to be more positive reactions to that. One of the other negatives I would talk about is just the overall noise of the vehicle. It's not terrible, but for the money, it's not as quiet as I expected it to be. I'd been in Model 3s and actually test drove a brand new Model 3 probably a year ago now, and it was amazingly quiet. I was really shocked actually how quiet that car was. And I know when you have a hatchback, it's a little bit more cavernous and you get more echoing around the car and all that kind of stuff, but it is a little bit louder. I will say I had to replace the tires, and I just got new tires yesterday, and since I did that, it's definitely made a difference, but I still think it could be quieter given the cost of the vehicle. And speaking of tires, that kind of brings me to what I would consider another negative of the car is you're really going to have to replace tires a lot more often than you would on a regular road car just because of the weight. These tires have 22,800 miles on them, the ones I just replaced, and they already had small chunks coming out of the front. It wasn't horrible, and I probably technically could have driven them a little bit longer, but the fronts were definitely wearing out more than the rears. And I don't really know the history of how they were rotated prior to me getting the car, so that could be part of the issue. He or she may have never rotated the tires, and that would certainly make a difference in how long they last. One of the kind of love-hate things I have with the car is that everything is run through the screen. I got used to it a lot quicker than I thought I would, and now I actually appreciate it a lot more. It just seems to be more relaxing experience because you don't have knobs and buttons all over the place. But the simple fact that you can't reach over and open your glove box is kind of annoying. You have to either do the voice command or you have to hit the screen, go to controls, open it that way. It just seems like an unnecessary step. Put a button on the glove box. I don't know. To me, it just seems a little bit crazy. Along those same lines, the app itself, when you're approaching the car, that's what I use for my key. So when you're approaching the car, it should recognize it. And I'd say 95, 96% of the time it does. But there are other times if my phone's in my back pocket, it doesn't recognize it. So you just have to kind of turn, show the car your booty to get the car to open. It's a little slow also sometimes to open the frunk from the app. I don't really know why that is, but sometimes that happens as well. But again, for the most part, it's not a big deal. Other than the suspension being a little bit loud, I think probably the biggest issue with the car is phantom braking. And I've done a couple of videos on that, and I still do have it. It really depends on what road you're on. An experience I had the other day, which was actually kind of interesting, I was going down Houghton Road, which is a 6-lane road here, but it's, the speed limit's 45. It's not a freeway by any stretch, and there are traffic lights. And we were a very good distance from a traffic light. I would say well over 100 yards, going 45 miles an hour. Somebody turned left, and I'm talking plenty of time to turn left. We were we're not even next to the intersection yet, and the car almost locked up the brakes. Scared the crap out of my wife and I. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know why it did that. It must have just really thought we were closer than we were, but that was certainly a time when I was glad no one was behind me. The biggest area where it happens is from, and I mentioned this in other videos, is from on I-8 from I-10 going towards Yuma. I mean, it's like, it happens all the time in that area, going both directions, not really sure why. There's another couple of little spots on I-10, but it's nothing dramatic. And thankfully, nobody's run into the back of me when the car decides to brake pretty hard. So with the negatives out of the way, let's talk about the positives. Overall, the driving experience is great. If I have my choice on a day-to-day basis, I really enjoy driving the Tesla. I still have my Jeep, and I still drive that now and then, and I enjoy driving the Jeep still. I like it, and obviously it has its purpose. I use it for towing and then also off-roading, camping, and things like that. But the Tesla's a great driving experience. Like I mentioned earlier, it's very relaxing. It's just kind of chill. The stereo is awesome. The navigation I've gotten used to now, and I actually really like the navigation. I was having some issues initially. And so as far as the driving experience goes, the visibility out of the car, out the back is not the greatest, but you have all the UI help with the little image of the car and all the cameras and all those things, so that's not really a big deal. One of the other positives about the car are all the updates that you get with it. So even though my car's a 21, you pretty much have all the updates that the newer cars coming out have, maybe minus the comfort suspension. So that's really cool. It keeps everything up to date and fresh. There hasn't been anything, life-changing with the UI, but to me, it's gotten better. They did finally add Apple Music, which I'm very happy about. It's not Apple CarPlay, which I would prefer because I'm just used to that interface and I really like it. But the fact that there's Apple Music on there now is awesome, and it's what I tend to use for everything. I have a subscription to it, so it just makes life easier. Podcasts are not on there yet. I wish they were, just for the simple fact of being able to fast forward through the commercials on the screen instead of having to look down at the phone. First world problems, right? Not a big deal. The other great thing about owning a Tesla, and I think is why it continues to kind of dominate the electric car market, even though there are probably other vehicles that are better built, and like the Porsche Taycan, I would love to have that vehicle. It's awesome. It's kind of out of my price range, at least at what I'm willing to spend, but the overall quality of that car is definitely better than a Tesla, right? But the supercharger network you can't beat it. The other charging networks are growing. They're getting a little bit better. But as far as like walking out of my house right now and wanting to drive across the country, you don't even have to think about it. You just do it and it would be no problem in the Tesla. Absolutely, it's going to take you longer to do that because of all the stops for charging, but you can do it. That's the key. I've seen multiple videos of people trying to drive their Rivians and other things, and it's just not as easy. I know there are parts of the country that have charging networks that actually are pretty decent, but as far as around here, it's not great. And the thing is, as a Tesla owner, you can use those other chargers. They're just not fast chargers for the most part. There are some with the big, I can't remember what they're called, but there's that big CS plug, which is, now there is an adapter for Tesla as well. So you could use those as well if you have a Tesla. So I think going forward, it's going to help Tesla continue to kind of dominate the market just for that reason. If you're only going to use your vehicle in town, then it doesn't matter because charging at home is the way to go 100%. So there's one thing I do want to mention real quick about supercharging, and I've noticed, and I think I mentioned it in my other video, is because the Tesla superchargers are kind of just in established areas, or sometimes they're kind of outside the established areas, occasionally there'll be a trash can there or there'll be nothing there. You have to walk to a gas station to get food or whatever it is. Usually they're around restaurants, but the stuff the trash cans and things they put around the charging stations are a disaster. They're like a total mess. And it's kind of disappointing to see that people are so lazy and just throw trash. And like, I literally saw a trash can that was piled this high. And granted, I don't know who's responsible for changing that trash out, but if you have stuff in your car and the trash can's this full, don't put it in there. Walk to the gas station. It's just, to me, it's just kind of ridiculous. I'm kind of hoping that a Tesla store will be attached to the supercharger, or they'll be better about maintaining the areas, because it kind of looks like crap, to be honest. And I've seen it at more than one supercharger, both in Arizona and California. So let's talk about supercharging as far as cost. I've used my car now for multiple work trips up to the Phoenix area, where I drive up and then I'll stay for a week at a time while we're doing tests. And then I'll come back. And the longest one I've done is to Carlsbad, California, which is almost close to 600 miles if I remember correctly. And generally speaking, if you're in a gas car, it's about 6 hours, a little over 6 hours. The Tesla, it took about an hour and a half more to get there just based on charging time. It wasn't huge, but definitely does take longer, and you just have to know that going in and just plan for it. And the nice thing is you just input where you're going, the car takes you there, takes you to each Tesla supercharger, tells you how long you need to be there, and then you move on. So very cool. And all the places I've been so far, there's been a Tesla supercharger within 20 minutes. So I can charge for the week that I'm there, and the car pretty much does fine because our commutes are short. The hotels we stay in are usually pretty close to where we work, so it's not a big deal. So I usually supercharge going there, I supercharge where I'm at one time, and then I supercharge on the way home. Cost to supercharge. Looking at I think I've got 25 or 26 visits to superchargers in the last 4 months. Average cost is 42 cents a kilowatt. The lowest I had was 25 cents a kilowatt, and the highest was 58 cents, and that was in California, of course. In all honesty, supercharging isn't a ton cheaper than a gasoline car. It is for the most part. For example, for my Jeep, it definitely is a little bit cheaper, but it's not significant. We're talking maybe 20 bucks, 25 bucks in gas, more than paying for supercharging. If I drove the Volt, that gets about 40 miles per gallon on the gas motor, so it would definitely be cheaper to use the Volt versus supercharging all the way. Even my wife's WRX, which on the freeway really did 26, 27 miles per gallon, pretty close. I mean, and that's even using premium. So it's extremely convenient, and it's amazing to have that network, but it isn't all that much gas money savings when you use the supercharging network. Really the key to using a Tesla and to owning one, I think, is charging at home. It's amazingly cheap. It's a couple dollars a day to charge the Tesla, if it's even that. Since we now have the Chevy Volt and we have the Tesla, our electric bill's gone up about $60 a month. But compared to what my wife spent on gas for her WRX, it's more than half less of what she used to pay on a monthly basis, just driving to work and doing errands and stuff. So charging at home is still definitely cheaper. The overall scheme of things, are you really saving money if you buy a Tesla? I don't know about that, just based on the cost of the vehicle. Yes, there's no maintenance for the most part, but most new cars come with free maintenance anyway for the first couple years. And even if you're paying for a oil change, 75 bucks to 100 bucks twice a year at the most, for the first few years, that's pretty much all you have to do other than rotate tires. So I don't know. I don't know if the cost savings is really there. It's going to take a number of years for me to make up the difference in savings on gas and maintenance to justify the Tesla. But I didn't buy it for that. I bought it because I wanted a full electric vehicle. I like the way they drive, and I thought it would be fun. So one of the other things about supercharging that I think is important to understand when it comes to cost is, let's say you fully charge your car. My car gets basically 300 miles of range now. So I fill it completely full at a supercharger. On the highway, that 300 miles is really only about 230, 240 at 75 miles an hour. So when you kind of look at MPG versus supercharger miles on the highway, again, it kind of skews the numbers a little bit to where it's really not saving you much money as far as that goes. So around town, yes, I get very close to what the mileage says it will be, but freeway, not so much. So overall, what I recommend a Tesla. For the driving experience, the ownership experience, the fun of the car, the quality of the stereo and the driving experience, then I would say yes, it's awesome. I enjoy the car a lot. Most likely we'll probably get a Model 3 down the road for my wife. Once she gets comfortable with the tech, she's still not super comfortable with it and enjoys driving the Volt. If you're going to buy a Tesla to save money, I don't really know that that's going to happen for you, but it's a really fun car, and it's an enjoyable ownership experience so far. I still have warranty left on the car. I still have over 6 years on the battery pack, so that's all cool. So yes, I've enjoyed owning it. It's fun because I have a mid-size hatchback SUV vehicle that allows me to carry a lot of stuff, and it hauls butt. I mean, it does 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, and you can get in traffic anytime you need to. You can accelerate and pass on the highway anytime you need to, and the power is instantaneous, and it's awesome. Not that I go 0 to 60 all the time, but having that available, honestly, is really great, and I've never had a vehicle that's as fast as this car. Even my 911, my old Mustangs, all that stuff, it's not even in the same league. If you get a performance Model Y, you're in 3 seconds, 0 to 60. So it's very, very difficult to beat for that kind of fun. If you're in the market for a new Tesla, I would say go for it. They're great. Get a good charger for your house. And right now, if you buy a Tesla from Tesla, you actually save, they're taking $3,700 off the cost of the vehicle because the new tax credits are coming out next year. So anyway, hopefully this is informative. You can check out my other Tesla videos. And as always, if you have questions about anything, you can leave those below, or you can contact me by email, which you'll find in the description. So take care. We'll see you next time.